Hello everybody, welcome to this two-part METAmakeR mini-series. Welcome to the first episode. My name is Stefan and I'm here today with my colleague Andrea, who you can speak with via the chat on the right-hand side of your screen. So please let her know if you can hear me and if you can see me. The audio and video is good. You can also ask her any questions throughout today's talk, and she'll be able to answer them, but we will also do a live Q&A at the end of the first training session today. So if you don't get an immediate answer, don't worry. We'll make sure that you eventually get all your questions answered. Today is the first episode of a two-part METAmakeR mini training series where we teach you everything you need to know about the METAmakeR and how you can basically build your first scene. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of things. We are going to talk about, I'm going to give you a short introduction of what the METAmakeR is all about. If, in case that you missed our launch in January, and if you did join that one, to give you a little bit of a reminder of what it's all about, then we'll go into the editor and we'll talk about navigating the editor. What is there? How do you get started? Then managing and uploading your graphics, which is very important to actually build your METAmakeR scene, your virtual environment. Then a little bit about creating your first scene. So how do you start adding all your visuals and your graphics and videos and 3D models? And we'll do more of that also in next week's session, which is also on Thursday, same time. But I want to give you a first feel of how you can edit, because the METAmakeR is quite a bit different in terms of editing, because we're now editing in an actual 3D model. So the way that you do that is a little bit different. But don't worry, you don't need any technical skills to be able to do so. In the beginning, it might be a bit daunting, but that's what this training session is for, what it's all about, to make you feel comfortable so you can do all of this yourself. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen in a minute and give you a first feel of what you can actually build, and then we'll go right into the editor. All right, I think everyone can hear me. I see that Tim has already mentioned that, so that's good to hear. And give me a second, and then I'll start sharing my screen. Now, I think you should be able to see my screen right now. I'll just get rid of this for a second. So I think we still should be good. Turn off the audio of the showroom here. So for those of you who are familiar with iStaging and maybe with the METAmakeR, we enable you and empower you to build your own virtual experiences quite quickly and quite easily. And they could be any type of experience, right? So they could be virtual showrooms, retail showrooms. They could, if you're in manufacturing, you could build something. If you have an automotive showroom, if you have something, a medical facility or space, anything you could possibly think of. And the METAmakeR allows you to do this in an extremely immersive way. Now, the METAmakeR is a complete 3D environment, so it's not real, and that actually means that you can essentially make it as big and as grand or as small as you want to. Just give me a sec, guys, just making sure that we're all still good with the audio and video. Yeah, all right, great. As big as you want, and that's fantastic. Now, because we're in a 3D model, if you're familiar with the METAmakeR, it's panorama based, meaning that if I move from one place to the next, it's sort of zooming out and zooming back in. But because we're in a 3D model right now, a 3D environment, you're literally just walking through that space. And I can demonstrate that by clicking here in front of me, and you'll see that once it starts moving, if it's a bit slow, just give it a bit of time. It has to do with the fact that we're sharing my screen right now. You'll see that you're literally moving, gliding through that space because we're in a 3D environment right now. It also means that essentially I can go anywhere I would like and click wherever I want to click, and it will then find the nearest spot essentially. So this is extremely immersive. And in this fashion showroom, everything that you see, and that's what I'm going to teach you today, has been added with the platform, with the METAmakeR platform. So, you know, the bags and the videos, and even here, the green screen videos that you see, you know, the models that are here standing on those platforms. Green screen videos is something that you can now add into a METAmakeR scene to make it even more immersive. And another thing that I want to mention is being able to upload, actual 3D models. So if you add a 3D model, it basically enables a visitor to look all around, to rotate it, to look all around and walk around it, essentially, because we're now in an actual real 3D space, which is really, really cool and really fantastic. Now, if you have built an experience with us before, you know that you can also add videos and images and you know, add descriptions and text and all kinds of other stuff. That is also still possible in the METAmakeR. But it's a more immersive way of actually building a scene, essentially. That's what we would call these 3D environments, scenes. Okay, now I will go right into the editor and we'll start talking about how we can actually get to an experience like this. So let's go here. If you have created an account or a trial account, fantastic. If you haven't, you can go to iStaging.com and create a free trial, a METAmakeR trial account, all right? And if you have an account, go to iStaging.com, to the top right corner, the little cube, select METAmakeR, and you can log in, and you'll end up right here on this in the editor, essentially. And there are a couple of things I want to highlight before we actually go into the editing, all right? Now, there are essentially 4 steps. So we need to first add a scene, so a 3D environment for us to be able to start editing. You need to start or add your material, all right? So your graphics and your visuals under material management. Then you can start editing, and eventually you can publish your space, but that's something that we'll cover next week. Okay, so adding a scene. There are a couple ways of actually doing that. Now, I'll go to click Add Scene, and then you'll see under Public Templates, you'll see various free templates that you can use. So gallery templates, you know, showroom templates, retail store template, and maybe a virtual exhibition or a virtual booth that you can choose for, you know, select for free and build your space. But there are also, and if you go up, you see templates purchased and templates uploaded. There are 2 other possibilities. You can actually upload your own templates, and there are additional templates that you can purchase. So let me just go back, and I'll go to template here at the bottom. And you'll see that there are various templates that for sale that you can actually also purchase. Now, because this is very, very new, there's still some Chinese characters, but that will all be available in English and various languages in the next few days. So don't worry about that. But there are various templates here that you can purchase. Or if you can build your own 3D environment, you can actually upload your own template. And that's really cool. So the only thing here is that you need to be able to have or build a 3D model in a 3D software, or maybe you'll be able to purchase an actual 3D model. And the important thing is the file format. So it requires a GLB format with a limit size of 30 MB. All right, and then you can actually upload your own space. So you don't necessarily have to choose the spaces that we've made available for you. But I can talk a little bit more about this later on. And if you have any specific questions about it, just feel free to ask, and we can talk after today's webinar and make sure that we can help you out with this particular way of uploading your scene. Okay, now I have actually already chosen various scenes, all right, so that you'll see them under My Scene. And under My Scene, you can actually preview and edit. But before we do that, we need to go to Material Management. All right, and material management is where you upload all your graphics. Now, you can upload images, websites, videos, audio files, and I'll skip this one for now, and 3D models. All right, and uploading them is pretty easy. You just say, okay, if you want to upload a video, you know, you select video and you click on upload and add all of the information for that particular video. All right, the actual name. You can add a YouTube or Vimeo link, or you can actually upload your MP4 file. and a thumbnail, and then you basically click confirm, and you've uploaded a video in your material management that you'll then be able to choose when you actually start editing. All right. The same goes for audio and the other materials. So that's the second step. All right. Before you go into the scene and before you start editing, upload your material first. Here, 3D models. All right. If you want to upload a 3D model, something that is important, the file format that is supported is GLB. All right. GLB files, and the 3D model should be less than 10 MB in terms of size. Okay. So that's important. As for the other things, websites and audio, pretty straightforward. You just upload the information, the files. It just basically explains itself, and you're good to go. Okay, so once you've uploaded the various, and you can always go back here and add more information, right? And add more stuff here. So once you've done that, you will then be able to go to My Scene and select the scene that you want to start to edit. All right, and I'll click on this particular scene here, and the first thing that I want you to notice is the actual image that I see. So you see, a high quality 3D model with lighting and shadows and all that type of stuff. But when we go into the editing environment, that'll look a little bit different. So it's not actually sort of rendered yet. That will only be the case once you actually preview. But once I click on edit here, it'll start to make more sense. So go to the editing environment. So here you go. Now you see I'm basically we're editing in a 3D model now, and I'm able to, start adding all of my graphics, and it will all look, beautiful with the lighting and the shadows and the high quality imagery once you actually preview or publish it. Okay. So the first thing, you're actually able to move through this entire space, like that. I can glide through to make sure that I want to go where I want to go to be able to edit and add all of my visuals. You can do so with the WASD keys on your keyboard or the arrow keys as well. And if you choose Q and E, then you can move up and down. All right. So there are some instructions on the left here to actually help you with that in case that you forget. Okay, now on the left side, we've got all of the different visuals and graphics that we can start adding. So we have text markers, image markers, video, websites, NPC, and portal marker. I'll skip for now. We'll talk more about that next week. 3D models, the audio, and the METAmakeR tag. And if you joined the launch of the METAmakeR last week, you know what the METAmakeR is all about. But also for the METAmakeR, our new 3D product hosting platform, and combining that with the METAmakeR, I'll cover that in next week's session, episode 2. So now I want to add 2 tags or 2 graphics, a video and a 3D model for you guys to see how that works. So if I click on video, it will open the library and show me all of the videos that I already added previously in my material management, all right, in the editor. And all I need to do is select the video that I want to add into my scene, all right, and then, give me a second. So here we go. And then if I click on this white thing, you'll see that here I can now drag the video wherever I want it to go. Now I'll just move it here for now because I want to add this video onto this TV screen here. All right, here we go. And you'll see that if I move it, that it will basically stick to the various walls. So to basically help you, it sticks to various walls to indicate where does it need to go. So I'm going to go to the video here. All right, I'll do it just like that. All right, I'll do here. Okay, now I need to make sure that this video somehow fits within that video screen. And this is where it becomes a little bit more interesting, the editing. So you'll actually, and there's instructions on the left, you can move it, you can scale it, so you can make it bigger or smaller, and you'll be able to rotate it. So with various keys. So number one, the first thing you need to do is select, and then you click on the number one key on your keyboard, and you'll see that if I click on the blue, it moves forward or backwards. You know, the three different axes, essentially, blue, green, and red. I can move it along those axes. So blue allows me to move it forward. Red sideways, and green actually goes up and down. So super useful, quite simple when you actually know how this works. So now I'm just gonna move it here a little bit. You know, we're gonna move it. Now, if you, one thing that is important when I'm actually moving it, you know, forward or backward, that if I go past the screen, it obviously goes, you know, the video goes behind the wall. So, you know, now you can really get a feel that we're editing in a 3D environment, right? So make sure that it's actually placed on the wall like that. All right, here we go. And I'll move it to the side a bit. That's number one. Now, number two is scale. So you see that the axes are now arrows, but if I click on the number, if I press the number 2 on your keyboard, they move to little cubes. And then you can actually adjust the scale by the same way that we adjusted the location. Red makes it longer, you know, green taller, and blue, you know, sort of bigger as well. But I want to keep the same dimensions here. So we'll select the white cube, and you'll see that it makes it a little bit bigger, just like that, right? So this is very simple. And move it a bit to the, move it here. There we go. And now we've placed that video perfectly within the screen. Now, number 3, rotating that video. I won't do that here because it's not necessary, but I'll show you with the 3D model in a minute. Now, if you've actually built VRMaker spaces before, you know that this tip, make sure that you click save every single time you make any changes or add any type of graphic or visual. All right, so it's saved successfully. And now I want to move a little bit further here to add a 3D model. All right, so we're going to select the model marker here on the left side, and it's essentially the same thing. Now we'll add a little helicopter 3D model. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to load. You see that the model is actually here available, and you can then place it wherever you want. It again sticks to the different surfaces in your 3D model, but I want to place it on this little stand right here. You can always move it later on. Now, very good. Now I want to move a bit forward and also a bit up. Oh, there we go. And here, again, we'll be able to sort of, you know, adjust it a little bit using the axis. And I can also make it a little bit bigger by clicking on the number 2 to make it a bit bigger here. And if I click on the number 3, it allows you to rotate your model. So for example, here you have similar axis. You see that I can actually rotate my 3D model to the right location in any way that I would want. So, you know, vertically, horizontally, very simple. And that's by clicking on number 3. Now, whenever you want to do something like this, you know, select your model first, or your tag, any tag, select it first so that the axes appear, and then you can click on number 1, 2, and 3 to adjust the location, the scale, and, you know, rotate it. Now, I'm pretty happy with the location of this 3D model. So again, I'm going to click on save. Perfect, and we've added our two models. One thing I forgot with our video here is that I can actually click, make it autoplay, so automatically play when visitors actually enter your scene. All right, save, and I can also, I can also do the same thing, auto rotate with my 3D model by the menu on the right side of your editing scene. I can auto rotate my 3D model. So let's click on save. Very good. Perfect. Now I'll go out of the editing scene, and we'll go back to my scene here and click on preview. and then we'll be able to see what we just created. And now, here we go. You'll see the video that we've just added beautifully on the screen that automatically plays because we've selected autoplay, and the 3D model that automatically rotates. And I'll go into this booth. We'll move there so that we can look a little bit closer. Again, the way that you navigate and move through this is just beautiful. It's so immersive, to be able to do this. And here we go, auto rotate. We have our little helicopter standing on the stand that we've just added. So it really is quite simple to add it once you sort of navigate. It's a little bit of trial and error in the beginning because it's, for most of you, probably the first time that you're editing in a real, true 3D scene. But this is the first step. So on how to start building your area and your METAmakeR scene. And next week, in next week's episode, I want to continue on building this. I want to show you a couple more things here. I want to talk about publishing. So publishing your scene, also evaluating its performance, which is obviously crucial for any business that is building an actual virtual space, because you're not just building a space for the fun of it. It is fun, but you want to achieve something with it. So how do you evaluate its success? And I also want to talk a little bit about avatars that you'll be able to use. And next week, also what I mentioned was the AR Maker. So if you don't know what the AR Maker is all about, there is a webinar, the official launch webinar is available on our YouTube channel that you can go and rewatch it. So I would recommend, if you haven't done so yet, go and check that out before you join next week's episode 2. Okay, very good. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Very good. Perfect. This is sort of the first indication of this, the first feeling I wanted to give you for the METAmakeR, how you can start building an actual METAmakeR scene. And next week in episode 2, we'll continue and finalize the scene and then ultimately publish it and give you a bit more information and maybe a few more tips that you'll be able to use to build your scene. Now, if you have any questions, guys, feel free to ask them now because we're getting close to the end of our of episode 1 today. All right, Tolga, great. See you next week. Fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed this first session of creating your first METAmakeR scene. Any questions, guys? Fantastic. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Again, also, if you start building your first scene and you have any trouble, feel free to reach out. We're happy to help. We're happy to look at your scene to see if we can give you any tips, or if you're struggling with a specific feature. I can imagine that it might be tricky in the first time to actually add a tag or add a 3D model. You'll be able to, we'll be able to help you out with that. So please feel free to do so. Don't give up. It really is not that complicated. Tim, how are the 3D models built? Okay, so you can actually, if you have your own 3D models, most of the time people have their own, or most of the time, various ways. You can either build your own 3D models, you can also purchase them online, or we can also help you build them. There's obviously an additional cost to that, Tim, for us to build 3D models because there's manual work involved, but we can do it. So that's how you can get your 3D models. And again, make sure that they're in a GLB format. If you have them in different formats, because I know that there are tons of 3D model formats, I think there are ways to actually transfer it to a GLB model, and even our team can help with that. Also, there might be a small cost involved, but you'll be able, we'll be able to help you with that so that you can use it in your METAmakeR scene. Yes. So just to clarify, the METAmakeR doesn't actually build the 3D model for you. We're gonna have to create that outside of the METAmakeR, and then you upload those files, whether it's an actual 3D model that like the helicopter I just showed you, or if it's the actual entire space, because you can also upload an entire space, an entire scene. I hope that answers your question, Tim. All right, Karen, can you have moving items in the scene, like the helicopter flying? That's a great question. Actually, right now, not yet. So right now, you can just auto-rotate the models. But if you have animations, then our team, I believe, is working on allowing for that animation to do something within your 3D model. But I'm gonna have to check to be sure. But it's something really interesting, and I'll keep you posted on the developments for that. All right. But right now, not yet. But it is something really cool. It would be awesome if you can actually have moving 3D models in your space. Another thing that I want to mention with regards to the 3D models is that there is also, as I mentioned, there's a limit to the size, but don't add, let's say, 30 3D models in your space, especially if they're quite heavy, because that can slow down the experience, and that's not great for anyone that is visiting your scene. So generally, we would say somewhere between 5 to maximum 10 if they're not very, very heavy models. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, Tim. As opposed to a 360 panorama shot by a 360 or DSLR, is it instead created in a program like Blender? I am not super familiar with Blender specifically, but I think imagine 3ds Max, that 3D software. That's where you would build, or what else is there? There are tons of other 3D model software or programs that you would build scenes like this in. Blender could be one of them. I'm just personally not super familiar with that one. All right, so hopefully, but yes, it's not. Key is that it's not shot by a camera. All right, because we're now in an actual 3D environment. Okay. Yes, got it. You need to build the space using the software, exactly. But because we know that lots of people are not familiar or can't build that space, I'm one of them. I wouldn't be able to actually build a 3D space myself. We actually try and have tons of templates available for you, so that you can actually just use the ones that are available or purchase them. And very soon we'll have sort of a platform where you can connect with interior designers and even offer your services as an interior designer, so that you can connect and make sure that you get what you want out of the METAmakeR or the space that you're looking to build. All right, but more on that very, very soon. Karen, how do participants engage? I teach, so I want to know how children interact in a space. Right? You teach, fantastic. This is great. I actually want to talk to you for about an hour after this webinar, because there are so many things in education that we can do, and I'd love to tell you a little bit more about that, Karen. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd love to chat. But not just with this platform, but also another platform that we've got. So engaging there in this space, there are various ways of doing that. All right, you can actually do this connecting with conference software. You can have a chat. Fantastic, would love to chat. Awesome, great. But also next week we'll talk a little bit about avatars. So you'll be able to actually, and I think that could be interesting in educate, with students or children, if they can use avatars to move through the space and sort of talk to each other, connect with each other. In that way, you'll be able to see, you can choose an avatar and you'll be able to see someone else's avatar as well, and then you walk up to them and, maybe chat with them or connect in a way, which is really, really cool. But more on that next week in episode 2. So I would recommend, if you haven't registered yet, register for that one, so that I can talk a little bit more. And even after the webinar, I'd love to, tell you a little bit more about what we could potentially do for you, because we have many cases in education as well that could be, interesting for you, that I'd love to share. Okay, Tim, yeah, you got it about building the space. Yes, using the software. So I don't know if Andrea actually sent you the registration link for next week's episode. If not, it's available on the website at the top. There should be a banner. Make sure that you register. Even if you can't attend next week, if you register, you'll receive the recording in the mail. All right, so that is very helpful. In case that you can join live. And again, also I would recommend, if you don't actually have a trial, you can have a 30-day METAmakeR trial to get something started. So if you haven't done so yet, go to the website, sign up, and then ultimately, maybe give it a try. Try to just build and add, let's say, a video, for example. That that's easy. Everyone has a video available that you can add into the space. So just sort of put it into practice, what you learned or what I tried to teach you today in this session. Andrew, I just sent you the registration link for episode 2. So if you haven't done so, please register for that. I would highly recommend it. All right. Yeah. Okay. Andrew, I just mentioned that. If there are no other questions, guys, then don't worry if still questions come up. You can ask them next week, or also just go to our chat on the website, or just hello@iStaging.com. You can send us messages, and our team will be able to help you. You can either connect directly with me or one of my colleagues, and then I hope that I will all see you next week in episode 2, where we'll be talking more about this and publishing the scene, and maybe a couple more use cases and avatars and connecting together. So there's tons more of the stuff to talk about, but because this can be quite daunting, we tried to keep it a little simple today, uploading something so that you have a feel for editing in an actual 3D environment. And I hope that you sort of noticed how to do that with the video and moving along the axis today. So I hope that was clear. And I hope that the connection was strong enough so that you could see all of the movements properly. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. I truly appreciate it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks a lot, and see you guys soon. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Cheers.